did you guys read Fire Stepanik?
Which one was that one?
I couldn't find it anywhere.
That doesn't sound familiar. I watched the videos.
I don't recall.
From what I can gather, somebody does a serious safety violation, they're having an interview with them, and they're trying to figure out, and somebody got injured, and they're trying to figure out if they're going to fire Stepanik or not. Okay, we'll skip that one. Okay, so the Upper Valley, or the, not Upper Valley,
Well, there's that one that workplace safety at Alcoa.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I guess that's what we'll spend the whole time on today then, is that one.
Sounds good.
Just said we're supposed to divide into 3 groups and put at least 2 people in the first group. So we'll just talk about everything. So we'll start with the first. Do you guys have that case study pulled up?
Yep.
Okay. So we're supposed to compare exhibits 3 and 7, and figure out if when safety improves, if productivity decreases or increases.
Of which study? The Alcoa one?
Yeah, Alcoa. Compare exhibits 3 and 7.
3 and 7. Okay.
Oh, exhibit. Oh, 1. Okay, 2, 3. Okay. Total production and employee hours by production department. And then 7 is
serious injuries.
Oh, we have to also note that injuries, if I can spit that out, are per. I'm on the phone.
Hours worked. 2,000 hours worked.
Per 200,000 hours.
So they've definitely gone down as time goes on. So is exhibit 3 asking, or is that telling us?
Are we recording?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. Sorry.
So that's saying productivity went down from 185 to 19.4.
Yeah. That went down a lot.
Yeah.
The total hours went down. And the total.
That's a huge jump.
That is.
So.
Oh, well, but look at it.
Oh.
87, yeah. 88, there are whole years, and then it breaks down into January to August, July.
Yeah.
And August. So they really are averaging. Let me get my calculator. So, like 185.4 divided by 12. It's actually gone up because in 87 they were averaging 15.45 per month. 204.2. I don't know why they would report it differently. That's stupid.
Yeah.
That's in 1988, the average was 17.
Well, so look at also how they did January through August and reported that, and then they just broke down the 2 months, which technically those 2 months were reported into the 153.1.
Yeah.
That's weird. So I really I mean, I don't know how many points one way or the other, but they're all with it. Like the first one was the average was 15. The second 1988 was the average was 17. So, and then for July by itself was 20. They're all within 5 points of each other.
Yeah.
So then their work totals have gone up actually. When you look at it like that, and their injuries looks like they've come down.
Yep. So basically, there's a positive correlation. As you focus on decreasing injuries, you actually increase production.
Yep.
Well, because it makes sense, because I bet if this is some sort of assembly line or something, if there's an accident, they have to shut the whole thing down.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. That they're all working safely and quickly, or efficiently.
Right.
The real word. I could see how overall production would be a little bit higher, purely because they're not getting interrupted.
Well, and I would also think that if they are working safely, they may not be as maybe hesitant in their efficiency, because they know, oh, I'm going to be safe. This is going to be fine. I can work a little bit faster, within boundaries, of course. But
I mean, it sounds like it's a very dangerous job, anyways. So.
Well, I would not be doing that.
You couldn't pay me enough, but.
I think also, I don't know, probably the thing I've noticed with the companies I've worked for, the ones that are safety focused and oriented, that the overall morale of the company is a lot better, and people are a lot more productive just because they feel cared about.
Well, I think that goes back to your comment. Kind of goes back to, let me find my notes. The motivation. And then, have you noticed in the news lately, there's been a big push of take care of your employees, and then your employees will take care of your customers. Don't put your customers first. I think it all ties in to each other, and like what Barry was just saying, like when the employees feel taken care of, and I really, the motivation part of this lesson really fascinated me.
Right.
Like, I really like that that professor, or like that video of his, like that quote. I actually even used it yesterday. My husband overheard me watching it, and he was like, that's fantastic. Like the idea that if you do not acknowledge people's I'm gonna misquote him, but if you don't even acknowledge, it's like shredding their work right in front of them,
right.
And that is such demoralizing. And I'm like, oh, that's why I I volunteer with the wrestling team and stuff like that, because I get that I get that satisfaction knowing that I'm helping and I'm needed. I was like, it was fascinating. It was like reading my own life story right there. So I thought, to me, the motivation was very fascinating.
So the next section we're supposed to go over is to look at Exhibit 5, figure out which areas are improving on their injury reduction, or which ones are improving on reducing injuries and which ones are having more injuries.
5, you said?
Yeah, Exhibit 5.
All right.
Here again, they broke it down weird.
It makes sense to a group of people, I'm sure.
Why would congestion? I'm assuming that I'm not thinking of the same congestion they're thinking.
Probably like a bottleneck.
Right. Speed, and if it's the assembly line.
Yeah.
Okay, so they have contributing conditions and they have contributing action, but what did they say department?
Well, It doesn't really look like there's anything that's actually going up, is there?
Look at him down at the bottom, improper position. For
Those are
January
pretty.
to August, it was 102.
Well, once again, it goes year, and then it goes 6 months.
But if he's talking 8 months and we're already 102, we're going to be over possibly the 138, 126, 119. That's possibly there's the potential of being a bigger number than the
yeah.
years.
Okay.
Well, really, okay, so August to 8, January to August is 8, and so that 102 divides out to an average of 12.75. And if you go to the first year, the 138 divided by 12 is 11. So once again, they're all within points of each other.
Gotcha.
I think the way that this report is, it makes it look very it looks worse than it really is.
Maybe that's why they did it that way.
It looks like it's going down, but really, like, it's just the reporting style.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
I don't know why they would do that.
I don't know if they did that for us to confuse us or to, make us think more, or if that's the way the company reports. Because I know, like, accounting practices, when they report numbers and stuff, they have to continue throughout the whole year reporting it the same way. Because if you report it the other way, it looks like you've altered the books.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly what it looks like. This report has been altered.
Yeah. So, interesting.
Yeah. So I guess really in a lot of areas, 1991's not looking so hot for them. Yeah, most of the injuries look like they're from people being in the wrong spot at the wrong time.
Ain't that the truth?
Well, it's that same with that guy that was hit by the forklift.
Yeah.
Just at the wrong.
And then a YouTube video will pop up of how the accident really happened, and then they'll know.
Yeah. So the next one we're supposed to look at Exhibit 6 and go through some of the examples of the industries and injuries and look for common themes and causes.
Stupidity.
Yeah. Not being safety conscious.
Well, look at the first few of them. It says, okay, loading a truck, forklift ran over foot. Well, that's being in the wrong spot, not paying attention. And the next one, going up step, misstep, fell against riser. Cleaning off chips off, slipped on chips. Like, who does this? On top of crane, lost footing. I mean, these are all personal mishaps.
Right, something that the company did. Like, they didn't put the chips on the floor on purpose, and they didn't purposely make him trip up the steps.
Here, like the employee reached over roll bar and touched bar, 2nd-degree burns. Are you kidding me? Employee sucking chips off roof, steel brace which holds hose fell across foot. That sounds like defective. But what if he's using it wrong? Like, is this really a training?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if they have not received the proper training, then he thinks he's doing it correctly.
Grease and water on the floor. I mean, come on, people.
I think I think with the number of employees they have, oftentimes it's easy to get lost in the mix of things and forget about safety. I mean, because these things can happen to anyone. This isn't. Yeah, you feel stupid when they happen, but
You're right. It's not
it can
like,
happen.
oh, the bolts came out and the whole roof came down on their head. I get what you're saying. I used to do workman's comp. It happens. It's human nature.
And uh, I guess I don't know. I think if they focus more on safety, if because obviously the people, that's not the first thing going through their head here. Is safety is not. It's not how can I get injured here. It's I've got to do this and this.
Mhm.
And I don't know, what I've noticed is when there is a company culture of safety, um, people do think that way. They begin to think about safety, like reaching across the bar. Like, hey, if I do this, is it gonna hurt me?
Right.
Um, yeah, and obviously, especially with the guy that got hit by the forklift, like he just wasn't paying attention.
Well, that's like, okay, so at wrestling practice on Monday night, this kid almost got kicked because he wasn't paying attention. The coach goes, if you are standing next to some kids that are wrestling and you get kicked because you're not paying attention, I'm not going to feel very sorry for you.
Right.
To me is one of the problems with when it comes to say. Well, I totally get it. People are like, ooh, the company, and that's why they have workman's comp laws. But there has to be some personal accountability also. Like Barry said, are you paying attention to where you're standing? Are you paying attention to what you're reaching across? And I don't know. And I think that comes with training. Like Barry said, like if it's on their minds, if they're talking about it, like if there's a big old sign that says how many days they've gone injury free, I think that when it's on people's minds, they're more apt to pay attention.
Right.
I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
I mean, honestly, this particular example is a little silly, but
Yeah, that's why I wonder if they're real examples or if they're just. I mean, you said the Harvard things were real, right, Barry?
Yeah, they are. I'd say they're definitely real examples.
I think they might exaggerate them for the point of view, but they're supposed to be all based like. But I also know that sometimes I asked my mom one time a long time ago. I'm like, why do they not make laws until something bad happens?
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I took that government class that I realized that I found out that there used to be a philosophy that you self-governed and like you took accountability for yourself. And so I realized, well, that's why it happens, because people do stupid stuff, or they press, they're like, well, it's not against the law, so I'm going to go ahead and try this or do this. And then they have to make a law about it because people say, hey, that's not fair. That's not right.
Right.
And so hence why there's more and more and more laws. Mostly for safety. Safety.
And also, I don't know, one thing to consider with this, I mean, the company has.
How many employees?
Yeah, like, how many thousand, do you remember?
I mean, in all considerations, like, they're probably actually averaging pretty well.
Yeah, they have 63,000 employees.
Wow.
So you have all kinds of diversity there. You have fat old men, you have.
I don't know if that's politically correct, Mr. HR.
Chubby? Fortunately large?
You're right. When you take into consideration the average of the company, like 63,000, and they're only averaging like 17 injuries per month. That's actually pretty good.
That is. That really is. And you have, I mean, that not all these countries that are in the United States. You have some of these countries that are, or some of the divisions of the company that are in, third world countries or places where it gets a lot harder to enforce safety.
It's true.
Yeah. So, yep. Okay, let's move forward here. What was your guys' initial impressions on the correlation between safety and productivity? Did you think it would improve or decrease, or?
I actually thought it would decrease purely because if people are slowing down to pay more attention. But then when I argued that when there's an injury and they have to stop the whole production, I could see how that would actually have a larger impact. So I was actually a little surprised from my initial hypothesis.
Yeah, I think I was too.
I think I figured that it would probably go up just from the standpoint that, we're trying to learn something and you exactly think that, it will go down, but, one of those Murphy's Law type of things.
True.
Yeah.
True.
You thought through it more. So what challenges is Mission Valley up against?
That's this company?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's still always going to be the same of balancing productivity and injuries. Because let's face it, they do work in a very dangerous industry. So it's their culture that there's injuries.
Yeah. So I guess just doing that, but I don't know, reading it I did feel like there wasn't a good there wasn't a company culture of safety. Like, yes, safety was focused on, but it wasn't internalized and adopted by the employees. I felt like from reading from the case study.
Like you feel like the company needs to push it, like make it more of their culture.
Yeah, just integrate it into the culture more. Focus on it. Because I feel like a lot of times safety is nobody wants to hear about safety. It's, oh great, we got another safety meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we don't have to work for 10 minutes, but it's just a waste of time and so on and so forth. But when you can change and shift that company culture to, all right, it's a safety meeting. Some of it seems like common sense, but it's still good to hear and focus on. Like, it makes a difference. I remember working construction, and we had, we'd have our safety meetings, and some of the topics I thought were really stupid, but then I thought about them for the rest of the day. Like, it was on my mind when it would have never been on my mind before.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. Well, and I think the one thing that you don't have control over is the thing that comes up that no one's thought of yet.
Right.
Yep. Who knew that someone was going to reach across that bar? And I think that's why some of these big these companies hire safety. I don't know if it's safety manager. Like, I have a girlfriend from our hometown. She has learned on the job, and but she's like their OSHA person. Like, she's always the one that's making sure people are following the safety. Like, she's their safety, and then over the years she's gone to like special training to get certified, and so I think having one of those, especially in such a dangerous type of work. I mean, we're not talking about school teachers here who like, oh, you accidentally slipped on some milk on the floor. No, I mean they're dealing with melting stuff and
Right.
like it would seem to me that they would be an industry that would be very proactive in the safety department.
Yeah. Well, I keep thinking back to the forklift guy. You know, they didn't realize that the forklift made too much noise and nobody could hear it coming, or whatever the case may be with that. There was too much noise going on. So they didn't understand the noise situation. They didn't understand that there were certain areas that weren't marked. You know, so some of those type of precautions were not brought to their attention until there was this huge accident. And then they're like, wait, this should have been marked. This should have been, you know, all these kind of things that if they had been a little bit more proactive, like you guys talked about, then it could have saved this man.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's not at the front of their mind at the time.
Yep.
I think that's why where a safety manager or whatever would come in, because I think they would think about things differently.
Right.
Yeah.
And hopefully do some training and catch things before they become issues. It's just a thought, you know.
Yep.
In theory.
So what do you think the company can do in the future to change or to improve safety in the company?
Well, I didn't read if they actually had a designated safety person, so that would be my suggestion. If they don't have one.
They have one of the ladies, I think, in the, cause there's one lady that writes up the safety plan for the next year.
But then I have to wonder, like, is she like, what are her certifications? And, you know, like, I don't know. I would like a little bit more information on that, I guess is what I'm saying. And then I like the idea of what Barry said. Like, he worked for a company that actually had safety meetings. So I'd like to know if they're having those.
Right. One of the things they do at the hotel that I work at is they have safety bingo. And so every day there's a number that comes up if there's no injuries or whatever. So making, not a game, because then people may not report it necessarily, but making it some type of awareness, you know, like you guys said about the numbers, oh, this many days, injury-free type of thing. But
remember, we learned last week that games are actually a great way to train people.
Yeah.
So that works. Like, you probably will think about that a little bit more because
it
was a game.
Yep. Yeah. Let's see. And it looks like they actually do have. Says they have a safety and health committees. So every department has their own committee.
I think it's important that each department, you know, like it needs to all coordinate. Like, okay, so this department has a contact person, and then that person goes and meets with the other contact people, and then maybe they have some training or whatnot. Like, it needs to funnel down. And I think when you have like a designated team member that kind of does the training and stays on top of it, and working with these smaller groups, they can stay on top of things.
Yeah.
I think it's back to that proactive about the situation instead of reactive.
Mm-hmm. True.
I think
I really like this class.
What did you say, Carrie?
I said I actually really like this class. I'm not really crazy about the whole Google thing, but like all of our topics have been kind of interesting. I was like, oh, maybe I should change my major.
What is your current major?
Healthcare administrative.
So,
I'd probably have to get written up myself for being appropriate.
Can you write yourself up? And today she said,
that person's dumb. They didn't use their brain.
yeah. So looking at things, I don't know, looking over it again, it looks like they have a lot of stuff that's really good. I'm still struggling to find places where they can improve other than just trying to make other than just putting it on the forefront of everybody's minds.
Well, and I think, you know, a little if it's really an issue, and like you said, putting it on their four minds, I've seen companies do incentives like, okay, let's meet our goal, and if we do, we're going to give you X, Y, Z.
Mm-hmm.
You know, get everyone on board. You know, it goes back to that motivation thing. You know, like if everyone is on board, everyone's working toward a goal. You know, be a mighty power as a group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Are there any other things that you guys see that would be a big improvement for the company?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
Me too. I might have skipped half the questions, but that's all right.
Well, don't say that in the recording, dude.
I think we covered them fairly well. Um,
I always think it's funny that the group leader paper doesn't cover the material like from the first. You know how there's seems to be like two topics.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And they only like cover the second one.
Yeah.
It's weird.
So moving on to the doohickeys problem.
Yes, I was working on mine last night.
Okay.
So I will update it. Oh, I had planned on. I have like a local document that I'm working on, and then I'll put it in the Google document.
Okay. Awesome. Was I turning that one in this week, or were you, Carrie?
You, sir.
Okay. Cool. I will do that. So, if everyone can have their updates done kind of sometime early Saturday afternoon, I'll turn in Saturday evening.
Okay. I'm actually going to town for a wrestling tournament, so if you don't like what I did, help yourself.
Okay.
I mean, I'm supposed to get back Saturday night, so if it's but I don't know. There's a good chance we're going to a tough area, so it's a good chance we'll be done by noon. I don't know what you know about wrestling, but yeah, we're going to an open tournament, so which is all kids that have like lots of experience.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be interesting.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, yeah. So yeah, I'll just plan on turning it in Saturday evening, and we'll go from there.
All right. So good.
Alrighty. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Good night. Bye.
Bye.